Hello, my fine feathered friends, and welcome. This is Songbird, and it has come to my attention from reading comments on my videos as well as other people's videos and various places online that a lot of people are confused about the difference between Studio Wildcard and Snail Games, and they don't understand, are they different? Are they the same? Who owns who actually works on the game? Whose fault are the problems in the game? So I'm going to talk you through it. I'm not an expert. I don't have behind the scenes information, but I have been around the art community for a while. And so I've heard the scuttlebutt. I know the general story. Just wanted to pop in really quick while I'm editing here and say I am very sorry about the quality of the audio here. I have just recently moved into a new space and there's a lot of traffic noise outside. And so adjusting my settings to try to block out the traffic noise, it's a process. I'm not quite happy with the settings just yet. I'll continue to tinker with it. If anybody knows anything about audio engineering, hit me up on Discord. I need help. I need all the help. Anyway, once again, apologies. But anyway, the story behind them in a nutshell. So, Studio Wildcard was founded in 2015 by Jesse Rapsack and Jeremy Steiglitz. They founded it together, and apparently they had previously met at a previous employer, and the previous employer had a non-compete. Jesse had a non-compete that he wasn't supposed to hire employees from the previous place, but it's a free country. People can leave a company if they decide they don't like working there and can apply to work somewhere else if they want to, right? Like, there was a lawsuit. It was very messy. I'm not going to go into all the details, but in the settlement for the lawsuit, they had to pay a multi-million-dollar penalty. It was less than their previous employer wanted them to pay, but it was definitely more than they wanted to pay. So nobody was happy, like with most compromises. But anyway, they were nearing bankruptcy because here's the thing with these guys, okay? I wish I could find the footage, but I just cannot find the footage. But 2 years ago, during the 24-hour Extra Life live stream that Studio Wildcard traditionally hosts every year, Ras Clark was hosted by Studio Wildcard. He actually flew over here to the Seattle area where they are based, and he was there, and as part of him hosting the Extra Life live stream, he interviewed the founders. And I watched his interview of the founders, and I felt like for the first time, I really understood a lot of the culture behind ARC and why ARC is the way it is. And what I saw is that these guys, even after, at that time, 8 years of working on this game, now 10 years of working on this game, even after 8 years, they were still excited and passionate about ARC and about the game and the dinosaurs and just the whole environment, all of it. And what I realized looking at these guys is these are not like super slick businessmen. These are creatives. These are dreamers. These are a couple of guys who came up with a really cool idea for an amazing game and went out and made it. But yeah, they're not super smart businessmen. And so, yeah, they probably should have talked to a lawyer. But anyway, they ended up having to pay a penalty in that lawsuit, and they were on the verge of bankruptcy when this Chinese company called Snail Games swooped in and through a subsidiary offered to buy Studio Wildcard in order to keep them out of bankruptcy. And of course, the details of that contract between them have never been made public, but I think it's fair to say, just based on what we've seen over the last 10 years, some of the things that were almost definitely included in that contract, which include that Studio Wildcard has retained creative control over the game. They are still the ones developing the game. And Snail Games is not able to fire the founders. Because, I mean, I've heard through the grapevine about all kinds of butting heads between the Wildcard guys and the Snail Games guys. Snail Games, I mean, if you think microtransactions in ARC are bad now, Snail Games wanted to introduce them like from the get-go. They had so many ideas of microtransactions that they wanted pushed in the game. And Jesse and Jeremy put them off for a really long time, and finally I guess they had to compromise in some way, because yes, there are microtransactions now, but at least they are optional. They're not to the degree of the things that I heard about back in the day. They were wanting to, in like 2017, 2018, Snail Games wanted to introduce a tech shield that you could use on official servers to protect your base, that you had to pay real money every month to maintain this tech shield. And if you had this tech shield intact over your base, it was completely unraidable and nobody could attack your base. So if you think the pay to win stuff is bad now, it is nothing compared to what the Snail wanted. Anyway, sorry, off on a tangent there. But so Snail came in and bought them. Snail is now their parent company, but Wildcard retains creative freedom and are still the developers of the ARC IP and the ARC game. And so basically I've explained it in like live streams and stuff. The really short version is that Wildcard is the people actually creating the game, actually building the game, creating the creatures, creating the art, building the maps, doing all of that. Snail Games is signing the paychecks, though. Snail Games are holding the purse strings, and so that does give them a measure of control, because apparently they can do things like force them to delay or rush the release of new content. They can force them to delay releasing something to better coincide with one of their investor meetings or something like that, or make their quarterly balance sheet look better. Or they can sign contracts with third parties that end up forcing Wildcard to release content faster than they wanted to and before they felt that it was really ready. Like it was Snail Games who signed the exclusivity contract with Nitrado, for Nitrado to be the sole host of servers for Ark Survival Ascended. Wildcard had nothing to do with that. Snail signed that contract with Nitrado because Snail was on the verge of bankruptcy at that time in 2023. And they were 4 months behind in their payments to Nitrado for the official server network, because the official server network has always been hosted by Nitrado, and Snail Games, since they're the ones who carry the wallet, they're the ones responsible to pay them for that. They were 4 months behind in those payments. Why is that when ARK is such a profitable IP? Well, the reason why is because Snail's CEO tried to use the profits from ARK to start an electric car company, which completely failed. They made one prototype car that they wasted millions of dollars on, and then the company folded, and then Snail Games was approaching bankruptcy because of all this wasted money. And so Snail needed money. So Nitrado said, hey, tell you what, we will loan you the money that you owe us for the last 4 months of server rentals for the official server network. Plus, we'll lend you a couple million more so that you can finish ASA, the remastered version that Wildcard are working on. We'll lend you some more money to finish that. And you can pay us back from the profits of ASA on the condition that ASA had to release, at least on PC, by October 31st, 2023. They had to release by then, and if they did not meet that deadline, then Nitrado would need to be paid back from the profits of not just ASA, all the profits from the original game, ASE, all the profits from the ARC animated series, all the profits from like Pixar, editing Songbird, popping back into ad, and all the profits from ARC 2. I honestly forgot that ARC 2 even existed as an idea. I'm sure a lot of us probably forget about it from time to time, but they are still working on it behind the scenes. It is eventually going to be released, we hope and pray. And if they didn't hit that deadline, then yes, they would have to share the profits from that with Nitrado. So yeah, it was important that they hit that deadline. All of that, they would have had to fork over some of the profits of that to Nitrado until that was paid off. And that's when, after they signed those contracts, they told Wildcard about it. Oh, hey, by the way, you have to finish the remaster by October 31st. And so, yeah, that's the kind of thing that seems like it keeps happening between these. It seems like there's a bit of a complicated relationship dynamic between Snail Games and Studio Wildcard, to put it very mildly. And I think if you understand that relationship, a lot of things about ARC make more sense. The fact that it is such an incredibly unique and amazing game like no other game, the fact that it has all these complicated mechanics, the fact that it has millions of lines of code, and programmer friends of mine, I'm not a programmer, but programmer friends of mine who have looked into the code of the game said they have nightmares about it. It is so complicated. It is way more complicated than most games that are out there. Because, you think of all the different aspects of this game. ARC's breeding system could be a standalone game all in itself. ARC's dinosaur taming system could be a standalone game all in itself. There is so much complexity to this game, and that's why we love it. Is it a little janky? Heck yeah. This is one of the most common comments that I see all over the place on X, YouTube, Discord, everywhere. They say, stop putting out new content and fix your damn game. Just fix the base game already and stop with the new DLCs. The problem is, Snail won't let them do that. Snail doesn't care about the base game working better. Obviously Wildcard are doing their best to fix it. They're releasing patches constantly. But Snail must be fed. Snail, they have to keep making money. It is what it is. It explains why this game is so incredible and yet also so infuriating at times and so janky at times. I feel like if you understand that, then all of that makes more sense. Okay, that's enough of my rambling.